It's not often that we get a brand new AAA IP set in an appealing fantasy world. Forspoken sometimes gave me flashbacks to playing Horizon and figuring that world out for the first time, only then with the powers of the infamous games that I wish they would still make. I'm still exploring this massive open world even after finishing the story, like it's really big. I'm fighting large optional bosses, finding brand new cloaks and ways to improve my character. So I'm really happy that Square Enix reached out with an early PS5 code and was also kind enough to sponsor the video, which will help me maintain the Jorraptor team of course and improve the channel. So totally check out Forspoken, find a special link in the video description. There is a free demo on PS5 as well. A like on the video would be awesome, and let's go. I rolled credits in 15 hours, which is not that long for a game like this, although it will take you 3 to 4 times as much, so like 50 to 60 hours to do everything and get the platinum. Again, Forspoken is huge, but I appreciate the fact that it's possible to only focus on the main story without having to do any small errands or open world activities, apart from some tiny tutorials at the start. We play Frey Holland, an ordinary girl who lives in New York alone with her cat Homer. Not without trouble though, as she has been stealing in order to make a living for herself, which also means that she has been crossing paths with some scary people. Like, things aren't great in a big city until she finds a shiny bracelet in an abandoned building that transforms her to a world called Evia. This is a medieval fancy land filled with dragons and other creatures, and with Sepal at the center, the lost place where the humans can live. Evia was namely once protected by the Tantas, 4 powerful women, basically gods, who suddenly turned evil and caused the break, the destruction of their own land, which turned the animals more aggressive and humans into weird zombie-like creatures. And only we as Frey are able to explore this world without being altered, so are quickly tasked to take out the Tantas in the hope that the break stops and that the people can live in peace. Now there's way more going on of course, as Frey wants to find a way home. There are some big plot twists that I did not see coming. It's overall nothing you maybe haven't seen before, but I still really enjoyed the journey. And fighting a Tanta is pretty awesome too, but you'll have to get there first, as early on you will see a marker on your map for Tanta Sila, which as you can see is pretty far away, so then it's up to you to explore the world and eventually reach the destination. Traversal is one of the best parts about Forspoken. You immediately have your flow, which by simply holding circle lets you very quickly move through the environment. You can later even jump against walls to get higher up. At one point you learn to glide over water, which is quite satisfying and very handy, and also lets you more easily battle sea monsters. It can also unlock a Spidey style sling to grab onto things in the environment. This will then launch yourself in the air, or you can pull yourself towards a platform if you otherwise don't make the jump, or you can also use it in combat to close the distance, which is nice for the fire magic. Like, you start with some long range earth bolts, with my favorite variant being the burst shot that easily launches enemies in the air, or there's a shield that you can blow up in the face of enemies like a shotgun blast. Later on you unlock fire abilities and exchange the basic earth bolts you shoot for a flaming sword, so suddenly you have to be close to enemies to deal a ton of damage, which completely changes the gameplay. And the best part is that you can switch between all the magic at any time, again similar to how infamous powers used to work, and it's not often that you're really pushed to use all your abilities. Usually you find one combo that works and can then use it throughout the whole game, but in Forspoken it's way smarter to switch up your playstyle often, as enemies are resistant against certain elements, so it's better to switch to water when fighting a flying creature for example, but the most important key here is the support magic. Every element namely has these support abilities that you can cast with L2. Think of things like a turret that shoots at nearby enemies, a ring of fire that creates a small arena around the targets, your own fire companions that will help you out, you can create a decoy so the enemies will attack that instead of you, etc, etc. There are 8 support abilities per element, and because there's no mana bar in the game, you can just spam them when they're not on cooldown. So actually switching between all the magic and continuously like casting and dropping down traps, protections for yourself, it's possible, makes you kind of feel like a badass, and really helps you out. There's not a single useless ability that you can unlock. Almost everything is an active skill that you can immediately use in combat, which makes finding magic in the open world that is needed to unlock these abilities and leveling up extra exciting. And there are also challenges for each spell that pushes you to use them in sometimes new ways to even further improve their power. I think it's a pretty clever system. Now don't get me wrong though, Forspoken is not perfect. Like, I personally wish there were more varied open world activities. I overall really like the combat focus of the game. There are no puzzles or things that would slow down the fast-paced gameplay, but this also means that almost every point of interest on the map has an objective where you have to take out a group of enemies. There are some twists though. Sometimes it's part of a time challenge where your score determines the reward at the end, and there are also these dungeons with mini bosses that protect some powerful loot. I especially like the surprises that are hidden in the open world, like large and powerful optional bosses, or once I encountered a portal which took me to kind of a treasure room, which was kind of nice. The world at one point became really dark and this huge boss spawns. Things like this are awesome and present in the game, but I wish there was more of that. I'm still enjoying my endgame run now though, where I'm trying to get all the spells that I'm missing. Like, I just unlocked a fire boost for my flows. I can go even faster if I hit circle at the right time. And I'm chasing after some powerful cloaks and necklaces. Like, that is the equipment you can use in Forspoken. They all come with special perks that you can then immediately unlock as well, so you can put them on any other item at the crafting table. It's similar to the engraving system from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for example, and it makes finding gear with bad stats still worth it, as they can have good perks for your preferred cloak. You can upgrade the stats as well to really boost the power of certain types of magic, so you can totally focus on a particular playstyle, although I still need to try out some different builds myself. Another thing that I wish Forspoken did better, and maybe they can still patch this, but as you might know, you speak to your bracelet. Again, you find this so-called fembrace in New York, and when transported to Evia, the bracelet gives you the powers that you can use to defend yourself, but it will also talk to you. Like, I did not mind that part myself, as it made the game feel less lonely when traversing the large open world, but you often hear the same lines, which kinda took me out of the experience. Now, there is luckily an option to change the frequency of these conversations, which you can also completely turn off, but I wish they would make it so that you don't hear the same lines twice, or at least not as often as right now. We don't see big new IPs often, games that let you explore a completely new world in a unique way, and while Forspoken is totally not without its flaws, I'm still happy that I experienced it, and I'm still enjoying my time unlocking the final items and trying some cool playstyles. Again, there is a demo for PS5 if you want to try the game for yourself, although you will miss a lot of context, like you're kind of thrown into the world. And the context made me like the game more. Just if you are curious, check Forspoken out via the link in the video description, help support the channel as well. Subscribe for way more content on big open world games. I might do more on Forspoken too. A like, of course, would be awesome. And check out my previous video by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.